Listen, I know finding the right guest for your podcast can be challenging, but I have 10 simple strategies, kind of foolproof, to where you will never run out of potential interviewers again. Now, we can go on for days and days and talk about how we wish that this thing could happen, but let me make something clear. Before we dive in, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Because see, over here at the Solopreneur Chronicles, not only the podcast, but the YouTube channel, this is where we make the podcasting tips for you become relevant. And by that being the case, we're about to jump into this video because you might need to know how to get your podcast interviewers so you would never be stuck in a rut again. You ready? Let's do it. Now, we already said that we need you to subscribe to the podcast, but let me give you something else real quick. First of all, I know finding the right podcast guest for your show can be challenging, but let me give you these 10 simple strategies that could help you never run out of potential interviewers ever again. Now, before we dive into this, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit that subscribe button. I need you to hit that like button. Turn on your bell notifications, because this will help those solopreneurs out there, just like you and just like myself, be able to basically find these tips to help them start their podcast in 2025. So, without no further ado, let's get into it. So, reaching out directly to an influencer in your niche, that's key number one. That's very key. See, influencers, whether they're YouTubers, bloggers, or even podcasters, can bring fresh insights and attract new listeners for your show. Not only will their expertise add value, but if they share your episode on their platform with their audience, oh, that's huge. So what you need to do is you need to find them by searching relevant hashtags in your niche. So we do this by going to Instagram. We search particular podcasters. We search hashtags for certain niches. And that's how we find out for the guests. Now, we've got about 5 guests lined up for the show coming up pretty soon. So that's one of the main things that we do. Number 2, we engage with their content by commenting and sharing before we reach out. Don't pop into somebody's DMs and just ask them to be on something they don't know who the hell you are. Engage with them. Build that trust factor. Talk to them. Get to know them. It's like dating. Once you get to know who they are, everything works out perfectly for you. So, number 3, monitor trending topics on places like X, Instagram, that are relevant for your particular niche, your industry. Recently, I just started a gourmet popcorn company, and I'm on X all the time. I'm on all of the places. I'm looking for different trends and ways to make my brand, my product stand out better and more efficient than anyone else. So, using X has been a part of my, market research and making everything go smooth. Now, when it's time, I contact them. I contact all the people that I want to interview. I reached out to a couple of my podcasting buddies through DMs. So Instagram and LinkedIn is where I like to DM them from. Sometimes I use email, but right now with the way the technology is going, everybody is on social media. So I keep it short. I introduce my podcast. And so that's how you do it. You keep it short. You introduce your podcast and highlight why they'd be a great fit. So one particular person that I'm reaching out to, he has a podcast, and it's the best podcast you could ever want to watch for a small market, because they're bringing it to you as a group setting. It's called The Basement. They're bringing it to you as a group setting, but they are talking about real life habits, everything that goes on in life, from relationships to sports to everything you want to talk about. But their main focus is relationships. So they have a panel. I love watching it. So I reached out to the guy who started it. We've sat around and bounced ideas off of each other. And guess what? hoping that he opens my invite and jumps on because, like I said, he's busy. He's doing 2 or 3 podcasts. Like I said, I got my podcast, just started the gourmet popcorn business. Get ready because we are going to be doing our thing. And it's all about growing. It's all about scaling. It's all about being an entrepreneur. It's all about walking away. It's all about doing what you need to do. All right. Now, whatever you do, make sure you include a link to your podcast so they can see if they feel like they want to be able to be a fit for your podcast. All right. Now, number 2, here's what we need to do. We also need to use a collaboration platforms. You can swap the guest spots with other podcasters in your niche because it's a win-win situation. So basically what that means is y'all both gonna get the exposure from a new audience. By me being on his podcast or by me inviting him and I give him the episode where he can place it on his platform and then possibly vice versa, I'm picking up his audience because somewhere in that line, there could be a relationship issue to where they need to start a new business and they could turn to my show, Solopreneur Chronicles, and learn how to, as being a one-person empire, start, grow, scale, convert, deliver, everything that you need to do to have a profitable 6 to 7 figure lifestyle. Now, sometimes you got to know how to connect with thousands of podcasters on one platform. So try these. Podchaser, you can find and connect with podcasters in your industry. All right. And Adry.io. That's I said it wrong. Adry.io. That's AUDRY.io. Connect with thousands of podcasters to open up with some of these amazing podcasters out there that's trying to do the same thing that you're doing. And guess what? You can start building a relationship and start popping up in everybody else's podcast because they see how great your show is, that you showing them how good you can be. There's a reason why you reached out to them. So now they can say, okay, this is a win-win for both of us. Our platform is going to grow. Let's do what we got to do. Now, number 3, source out your guests from similar podcasts. Like basically listen to other people on other podcasts that's in your niche and see who they interview. Now, once you figure out who they interview, if a guest has already been on that podcast, then likely they're open to doing more. See, you have to find people who really want to be a part of what it is you're doing. But you also have to find people who are out there who have been on podcasts already. And by being on these podcasts, they are more comfortable with being in front of a different audience. They're more comfortable with having questions asked to them. They're more comfortable with just being in the environment, period. So you have to be able to take that chance. Listen, podcasting is a job. It's not a hobby. You can do a lot of things. You can grow your brand. You can start getting brand ambassador deals to where you could promote a product, which is called affiliate marketing, and possibly make a little money. So let me step back and show you real quick. Right now, what you see me in what we call comfort clothing. Now, I stumbled across comfort clothing several months ago, right when the dead of winter was coming. What I liked about comfort clothing is they had the quality of a jogging suit, because I like to feel comfortable. They had this quality jogging suit that I could feel good in, but I didn't know that at first. So what I have to do, I had to go buy me one. And then once I bought the first one, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I need another one. But as I did more research on the company, I found out that this company also makes a product for people who suffer from mental illnesses like stress, anxiety. They have a specific line that's a weighted outfit, weighted jogging suit, weighted hoodie that helps you relax. I was sold. And I haven't stopped. My whole wardrobe is turning into comfort clothing. Plus the colors that they have. For me, I like colors. So it's a win-win situation for me. That's a shameless plug. They're not paying me for that as of yet, but shout out to Comfort Clothing. Okay, now back to what we was talking about. Avoid repeating the same conversations. Listen, study your podcasters. Study your podcast. And whatever questions they ask, make sure you ask different questions, especially when you're reaching out to them, because nobody wants to keep repeating the same thing. Listen, if you watch sports, ball players hate to have the same question asked to them over and over and over again. You might ask them, well, how did it feel to get your first triple double? But then Joe Blow asked the same question, and so did Jane, and so did Timmy, and so did Becky, and so did everybody's asked that question. Ask them something like, what do you do outside of balling? What do you do to relax outside of a tough loss? What do you do? How does it feel to see a young rookie flourish in the game? Questions like that will help them feel more comfortable, and it helps move it along. Like I said before, you have to research your podcast. You have to research your guest. That's what you got to do. You got to research your guest. If you don't research your podcast guest, you're going to fail tremendously. Now, number 4, to make it even better and make your transition to getting these guests a whole lot smoother that can possibly match up with you, use a guest booking platform. If you want guests to come to you, try using a guest booking platform to find and schedule these interviews. Something like Podmatch automatically pairs hosting guests. Podperfectguest.com. That's a free directory of podcast profiles. And then matchmaker.fm. Man, listen, it's trendy. It's a podcast, a platform that matches over 25,000 potential guests in your niche. It's a win situation. The only way you do not make money in your podcasting is and it's a big if you don't put no work in. That's it. Now, number 5, we're going to talk about this because you got to post on social media. A lot of people say, no, posting on social media is bad. No, it's not. Nobody knows who the hell you are, so post on social media. Use your platforms. Pick one, though. Pick one. Listen, I always talk about this, the 5 ones. I pick one particular platform inside of the 5 ones because I have one offer. That one offer, I have one traffic source. That one traffic source I'm going to do for 1 year. And that 1 year helps me get to the point. So, again, let me go back and break it down to you. One offer, one traffic source, one platform, one social media. I use Instagram. So it's Instagram versus Facebook, but I turn around and I repurpose. And then I turn around and I make sure I do this for 1 year. Okay. And then last but not least, I join groups and start to I get in groups. And sometimes before I even start to conversate, I always check, see what the topic is, and see if I can offer some insight within the side of that topic. Now, number 6, I use the HARO. HARO is what I call HARO. That's help on a reporter app. It's like it connects you with, journalists, podcasters. That's a source. Sign up for this reporter and to find the exact guest. Sign up as a reporter to find the exact expert guest, okay? And also register as a source to get your podcast featured in media outlets. A lot of people don't understand. You got to put in some work to be seen. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, I take that back. Gilly and Wallow them dropped their first episode. I was watching the episode where Wallow was on there with Shannon Sharp on his podcast, Club Shay Shay, and he said that they did their first episode. But what a lot of people didn't pay attention to, or they don't pay attention to, when Wallow said that, he had already said Gilly had a following before they did the podcast. Wallow was the brains behind the marketing schemes. I was going to say scandal, excuse me. Nothing they do is a scandal. Gilly had that following, and look where they're at now. All right. You can say what you want about them brothers. You can say what you want about Matt Hoffa. You can say what you want about Drink Champs. You can say what you want about Joe Rogan. You don't have to like none of them. All you have to do is study them. Once you study them, you're going to find out that these cats is showing you the blueprint. You just got to learn how to look at that blueprint. All right. Now, you can also, number 7, find your guest in Facebook groups. Just because you go sign up don't mean that you can't find them. Search, podcast guests, podcast collaboration. These are relevant groups that you could be in and find good quality podcast guests. Post what kind of guests you're looking for, engage in the discussion, and there you have it. You might find you a potential guest. All right. Now, number 8, look for some authors, some experts promoting their work. It's always good to have people. See, with solopreneurs are out here promoting their work. A lot of people don't understand that, but you got to know how to promote your work. Again, I recently started a gourmet popcorn business, Snap Crackle Gourmet. We are going to drop the Taste of Kentucky. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but we're going to drop it. What I had to do is I had to bite the bullet. I had to go ask people, what do you think about this? And when they popped it out, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, ooh. And there it is. Plain and simple. Now, you could browse Amazon. You can browse LinkedIn. You can use email, find creators, influencers. But look for these people who are doing book releases, who are looking to get more eyes on their product. See, a lot of people write a book and they stay in their niche. But if you write this book and you want to get a broader audience, you have to take off your coat, pop out, and show them who you are, what it is you do, and why they should buy your book. Period. Now, number 9, this one here can be a little iffy. But because a lot of people feel like it's begging, ask the podcast guests for referrals. You might have someone on there and they might know someone who's in your niche and could be interesting to be on your show, but they're not going to just come out and tell you. You have to ask just to get to that point. So by asking them about this, it could also help boost your credibility. It could help boost your visibility off the charts because you're asking someone who you've interviewed, hey, I have a friend, but you didn't ask. So let's say I'm interviewing, let's just go ahead and say I'm interviewing someone of the sorts like a Jasmine Crockett. Now, everyone knows Miss Jasmine Crockett is a senator from Texas. She's a congresswoman from Texas, right? But she's also an attorney. Now, what if I was doing an episode on attorneys and I asked Miss Crockett to be on the podcast and she accepted? Now, let's just say that I'm doing another episode, a rebuttal episode down the line, but I want to talk about paralegals. Hey, Miss Crockett, before we go, you wouldn't by any chance know any up-and-coming paralegals who would like to get their foot into the door, but also get their face out to the public? And she would be like, well, yes, I do. So therefore, I have already reached out. I've interviewed. The interview went great. She's building her congressional portfolio. I'm building my podcast, but she also has friends that are up and coming paralegals that could help. They needed help being seen. Hey, my podcast might have like 1,500, 2,000 downloads a week. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that could be the process. With that being said, guess what? Now they have the opportunity to see this paralegal. I might can reach out and ask for some legal advice without having to, and that's how things get started. And then last but not least, number 10, use the CTA, a call to action in your podcast, and let them know what it is you do, who you are, and why they should check you out. At the end of each episode, ask the listeners to send you a guest, a recommendation. And if you use a podcasting hosting platform with a dynamic insertion like Buzzsprout, hey, that works out because that's a win-win situation for you. Now, that's 10 powerful strategies that can help you find amazing guests for your podcast. Now, if you find this information here any way bit helpful, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, follow us on the Solopreneur Chronicles podcast YouTube channel. Make sure, again, you turn on all the notifications. Don't forget, the podcast jumps off each Monday on your favorite streaming platform. Follow us, like the podcast, leave us a review, because that helps us get other solopreneurs just like you to do what? Join the fold, join the community. All right. You got a guest? think they might fit for my podcast, drop me a comment below and let me know so I can do some research and see if I can reach out to them, all right? Be on the lookout. The Chronicles Corner is going to be where we're going to be doing these podcast interviews because we want to get to the Chronicles. We want to get the info. We want to get the tea on how they started their business, how they scaled their business, how they do their marketing, how they use social media, all of that. We're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going. Listen, don't take what's going on in 2025 as a defeat. Use what these cats is doing so you can become a better entrepreneur. And I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Peace.